100 years ago at the Wei family home in Guangdong, a 12-year-old boy was tossing and turning in his small room, and that boy was Wei Yanhao. He smiled at his burning dream. I want to become the greatest person in the world, born into a martial arts family. He soon realized that the only path to achieve his dream was through relentless effort. The young boy lay there and sighed. No matter how gifted you are, you can't succeed without hard work. However, for a determined boy like him, a small problem arose. He turned his head to the window where the sunset was fading, sat up, and stared blankly at the day's final moments before rolling back into bed with a sigh. What a shame. I was planning to start my journey to become the greatest in the world today. But it's already gotten dark. Oh well, I'll just sleep on it. Training can wait until tomorrow. Just then a man entered the room, and seeing the boy sound asleep, he bellowed, "Get up now!" The boy woke up with a smile. "Father, you're here!" That man was Wei Zhengjian, head of the Guangdong Wei family, also known as the Righteous Sword. He looked at his son sternly. "Do you realize the sun is about to set?" The boy scratched his head. "I know." "And you're still lazing about?" his father asked. The boy answered casually, "Because the sun's about to set, isn't it?" Veins bulged on Wei Zhengjian's forehead as he seethed. "Do you know how long you've been cooped up in this room?" The boy seemed a little flustered. 2 days, or was it 3? It was probably just 2 days. The man roared furiously, "It's been 4 days!" "4 days, you little rascal! For 4 whole days you've just been holed up in your room, wrapped in a blanket, rolling around. Doesn't your back ache?" Even a bear hibernating for 3 days would have to roll over from its back, being drenched in sweat. The boy laughed and scratched his head. "That's why I sit up occasionally before lying down again." "See, father, you're worrying over nothing." His words only made the man angrier. His teeth clenched tightly. Seeing this, the boy quickly changed his tune. "It's not what you think, father. I was really planning to start my training. But every time I open my eyes, the sun has already disappeared. When the sun sets, you're supposed to sleep, aren't you? What else can I do? I have to do this so I can wake up early to train tomorrow." "Right." His father, becoming even more furious, stepped forward and ripped the blankets off, screaming, "You little scamp! Today I'm going to cure you of this laziness once and for all, and I'll fix that disrespectful attitude while I'm at it." And just like that, the boy was sent tumbling to the floor, landing in a headstand. A short while later, he was back in his study, sighing with his head in his hands. The head steward Zhao Fang came in and asked, "Are you worried about the 2 young masters, my lord?" He sighed in response, "If he weren't the way he is, what would I have to be worried about?" Zhao Fang offered some comfort. "The young master will surely mature soon." This only made him more melancholic as he held his head. "It's all my fault." He remembered back when Wei Yanhao was 2 years old. Wei Zhengjian had set off on his travels across the Jianghu. His wife, along with his 2 sons and his yet unborn daughter, had sadly seen him off. Initially, he thought this journey would take 2 years at most, but he became entangled in countless incidents across the Jianghu. It took him 8 years to finally return home. As a result, he achieved the title of Righteous Sword, a renown far beyond his reach. However, the price was not small. Upon his return, his once gentle and virtuous wife had become a person more terrifying than a fierce tiger. The son he had once loved so dearly had now become so lazy that he couldn't even look him in the eye. Recalling everything, he couldn't help but let out a helpless sigh. Zhao Fang smiled gently to console him. "Please do not worry too much, my lord. I'm certain there is a solution." He stood up, staring intently at Zhao Fang. "What kind of solution?" Zhao Fang replied, with a serious expression. "That's right. Have you forgotten, sir? He will be returning soon." Hearing this, Wei Zhengjian's spirits lifted as he nodded. "That's right." Zhao Fang continued, "After 3 diligent years at the martial arts hall, it is now time for him to return." Wei Zhengjian grinned sinisterly and nodded. "That's right. That brat Wei Yanhao's time is up." The only person Wei Yanhao feared was his big brother, Shan Hao. Suddenly, Yanhao shuddered, feeling a chill. He turned his head to look behind him and saw Shan Hao standing there. Staring with cold eyes, he asked, "You've been sleeping for several hours, haven't you?" Sweating, Yanhao stammered, "When did you get here, brother?" Shan Hao's face was stern. "I asked first." Yanhao scratched his head with a nervous laugh. "Well..." Shan Hao was not joking. His expression remained ice-cold as Yanhao fearfully explained. "It's not what you think, brother. I already trained this morning. I trained so hard that I got exhausted, so I was just taking a little nap. I'm telling the truth. He cursed inwardly, damn it. When the hell did he get back? Shan Hao asked skeptically. You say you've already trained. Seeing Yan Hao nod, he pointed to a nearby candle. Then use a single technique to slice that candle in two for me. Let me see how much you've improved in the 3 years I've been away. Yan Hao didn't dare refuse and could only get out of bed, grab his sword, and approach the candle. Shan Hao urged him, What are you just standing there for? Hurry up and make your move. Tensely, Yan Hao raised his sword, but we're indoors after all. It's dangerous too, Shan Hao said irritably. I am aware of that. Stop talking nonsense and make your move. Yan Hao had no choice but to comply. He squeezed his eyes shut, thinking to himself, whatever happens, happens. He took a deep breath and began to twirl his sword after a moment. He pointed his sword towards the candle, which was about 3 meters away. Yan Hao pushed off with his feet and lunged forward. Behind him, Shan Hao watched intently, not even blinking. The technique Yan Hao performed was called Flying Dragon Soaring Heaven. After a series of flourishes, he let out a sigh of relief and turned to look, but the candle was still perfectly intact. Yan Hao was horrified. I'm so screwed this time. Shan Hao spoke up. 3 years have passed. 3 years is enough time to master a swordsmanship style enough to break through to a new realm. And yet you are even worse than you were 3 years ago. You disappoint me. His big brother then left the room without another word. A short while later, the family of 5 had gathered around the dining table. Yan Hao sat there with a gloomy expression. He thought to himself, I'm definitely going to get indigestion. Wei Jingxian turned to his son and asked, How was your life at the martial arts hall? Did you face any difficulties? Shan Hao replied calmly, everything was fine. If cultivation were without hardship, it wouldn't be called cultivation anymore. I believe those are challenges I must overcome myself, father. Ngui Chinhian nodded, satisfied. You've been through a lot while I was away. Sun Hao replied, You're the one who has suffered, father, from your long martial journey. Wei Chinhian nodded. All right. Is there anything else you want to share with the family? Sun Hao put down his chopsticks and said seriously, I have something I need to say. Han Tunga immediately asked, What is it? Sun Hao looked straight ahead. It's about Dian Hao. Tunga frowned worriedly. Is something wrong with Hauer? Dian Hao was suddenly alarmed, thinking to himself, Big brother, please don't get me in trouble. What could possibly be wrong with me? Looking at him, Sun Hao said clearly, I'm going to take him to the martial arts hall. Hearing this, Dian Hao was stunned, speechless, his mouth agape. The scene shifts to his 2 parents. Wei Chinhian couldn't help but muse that whether it was Grandmaster Votan or Bang Dao Cook, just hearing the name Nui Dian Hao was enough to make them grind their teeth. That was the beginning of a major historical event. At the time, no one would have ever suspected that this lazy young boy would become a grandmaster who could shake the entire world. As soon as they rode out of the house, Dian Hao pleaded sadly, Big brother, can't we rest for a little while before we go on? Wei Dian Hao reluctantly continued the journey to the martial arts hall. His family was also sad to see them go. Wei Tulin cried, clinging to them. Please don't go, brothers. Wei Qinghin said cheerfully, You can only come back after you've become a true man of honor. Thunga added worriedly, You two remember to be careful on your journey. Dian Hao waved a sad goodbye to everyone. The 2 brothers spurred their horses and set off on their journey, which went smoothly, at least from Nui Sun Hao's point of view. Lying on his back on the horse, Dian Hao whined. Good heavens, are we still far? Sun Hao replied. We'll be there in just 10 more days. Dian Hao was shocked. 10 more days, Sun Hao reminded him. If you actually rode your horse properly, we would have arrived in 5 days. Dian Hao retorted irritably. I told you I've never ridden a horse before. Sun Hao replied calmly. I'm not blaming you. Dian Hao fumed. Yes, you are. You're blaming me right now. Sun Hao remained calm. You asked, so I answered. Dian Hao continued to whine. Can't we just rest for a bit and then keep going? Do you have any idea how steep this hill is? I'm dead tired. My back is about to break and my butt feels like it's going to explode. He pointed towards the base of a nearby tree. Just look over there. They must be exhausted. See how those people are all lying on the ground to rest. Sun Hao followed his gaze and was suddenly startled. He immediately dismounted his horse. Dian Hao asked, confused, What's wrong? Where are you going? Sun Hao didn't answer and just walked towards those people. Dian Hao followed him and asked, What are you doing? Sun Hao sighed. It's too late. They are all dead. Hearing this, Dian Hao broke out in a cold sweat and cried out in panic. What Sun Hao picked something up and motioned for him. Dian Hao followed his gaze. He pulled back the corpse's clothes, pointed to the wound on the victim's chest, and explained, "This is a technique called the lustful flower palm." Dian Hao asked doubtfully, "The lustful flower palm? You mean like a passion for flowers?" Sun Hao shook his head. Originally it was called the red flower palm, but a lustful demon named Tae Kunyak used it to commit countless atrocities, so it was renamed the lustful flower palm. Dian Hao cut in, "Wait a minute. A lustful demon? You mean that guy is nearby?" Sun Hao continued Tae. Kunyak doesn't frequent places like brothels. He preys on women on secluded mountain paths. For a body killed by the lustful flower palm to appear here, it means he has targeted a woman and attacked her, which means right at this moment, a woman is in danger. After saying that, he immediately dashed off at incredible speed, leaving behind the words, "I'll be right back. You just wait here." Dian Hao shouted in a panic, "You're telling me to stay here and watch the horses with all these corpses? Big brother, you can't be kidding me." But no matter how loud he yelled, Sun Hao's figure was already fading into the distance. Dian Hao nervously glanced at the corpses beside the two panting war horses, while countless flies buzzed around the bodies. The longer he stared, the more terrified he felt. "I'm doomed." After some time, the sky began to darken. Dian Hao looked up and screamed, "You liar! Why aren't you back yet? At this rate, you should have just taken me with you." But then he thought seriously, could something have happened to Big Brother? Otherwise, there's no way he would be this late. Just then, a strong gust of wind howled by. Dian Hao gripped the reins tightly to keep the warhorse from bolting. "I have to think of something. If I just stand here, I'll end up as food for tigers and wolves." Immediately after, a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, making him scream in terror. It started to rain. Dian Hao looked up at the sky in despair. It's really over now. His screams echoed in the downpour. For some reason, he gritted his teeth and began pushing the warhorse up the mountain with all his might. He had loaded all the corpses onto the horse's back and decided to take them along. Damn it, if I leave the bodies here, they'll just become food for wild animals. I can't just leave them like this. I was going to give them a proper burial before leaving. Who knew it would rain? I have to find shelter fast. Just then, the warhorse suddenly stopped. Pushing from behind, Dian Hao yelled in frustration, "What's wrong with this horse now? It's completely disobedient." He was near a stream bank when a bolt of lightning struck, startling the warhorse. It kicked out, sending Dian Hao flying before he could react. He tumbled into a bush and lay there groaning in pain. A moment later, he scrambled back up. "Oh, my back. That goddamn young horse deserves to die." But just as he sat up, he was startled by something he noticed. "What is this, a cave?" Immediately after, he began to laugh excitedly like a madman. "This is great. I've found shelter." He turned to look outside and saw the two war horses were still standing there. Yan Hao quickly tied the reins of the two war horses to a nearby boulder so they wouldn't run wild. He stood there watching them and sighed, "I guess I can't even bring myself to give them a good beating." He looked down at his appearance and mumbled, "What a mess I am. No wonder they say leaving home is the beginning of hardship. I've already left a sign at the cave entrance. Big Brother will surely know how to find his way here." After saying that, he plopped down on the ground and sighed, "I'll just get a good night's sleep for now." But no matter how long he lay there, he couldn't close his eyes. He worried inwardly, "I hope nothing has happened to Big Brother." Probably not. I know what kind of person he is. He'll definitely come back and find me here. He finally drifted off to sleep. While he was asleep, the two war horses managed to untie their reins and wander off. The sky quickly brightened, but Yan Hao was still dead to the world. Showing no signs of waking, he slept for 2 whole days without stirring even as night fell. Suddenly, a stream of blue light appeared around him. It quickly enveloped his entire body. The light gently lifted him into the air, carrying him deep into the cave, through the rock wall, and he vanished from that place. An unknown amount of time later, Yan Hao groggily woke up. He looked around in a daze. Where is this? The cave ceiling looks so strange. It seems I've gone deeper into the cave. Or maybe I rolled here in my sleep. Just then, a voice echoed, "Oh, fated one." Yan Hao jumped in alarm. What was that? He tumbled to the ground in pain. But right after that, he noticed a blue orb of light floating in the space. The voice was coming from it. Welcome, fated one who has followed destiny to arrive at this place. O my descendant, light sword by Wuxian. Yan Hao asked doubtfully. Excuse me, is that glowing orb talking to me? The voice confirmed that is correct, fated one. I am transcending space and time to pass my will on to you. Accept my will and bring peace to the world. But Yan Hao screamed in terror. What kind of ghost is this? The voice reassured him, do not be afraid. I have already passed on. What remains here is but a sliver of my consciousness. I left it for the fated one who would one day arrive here. Therefore do not doubt and accept my will. Yan Hao thought to himself, wait a minute. This situation feels so familiar. A mysterious cave, the consciousness of a senior. This is definitely a fateful encounter. It must be because I've lived a good life that the heavens are blessing me. And with this, I can get strong quickly without needing to go to a martial arts hall anymore. He burst out laughing with joy. The voice echoed again. There is not much time left. Fated one, accept my swordsmanship. Use it to restore justice to the world. Now I will pass my light sword style on to you. You must train relentlessly to hone yourself. If you inherit my bloodline, your talent will surely be outstanding. Just train hard here for 35 years, and you will be able to replicate a portion of my power. Hearing this, Yan Hao's face suddenly turned pale. 35 years. The voice confirmed, that's right. You just need to train for 35 years. Yan Hao hurriedly waved his hands. Wait a minute, I don't think we're fated to be together. Please find someone else. He was shocked and blurted out what Yan Hao casually replied. Well, a fateful encounter that cost 35 years of my life, I'd rather not have it. Yan Hao immediately turned to run away. Well then, I'll be on my way. But the other person wouldn't let him leave so easily. Just as he took a few steps, a voice rang out, stopping him. I told you to wait a moment. The one who spoke was Bok Vo Han. Yan Hao stopped, turned his head, and glanced at him. I guessed right, didn't I? You really are a scammer. Hearing this, Bok Vo Han became annoyed. A scammer. What kind of person do you take me for to dare say such things? Unyielding Yan Hao pointed and shouted, you put on this noble and mysterious act, but you've shown your true colors, haven't you? Bok Vo Han explained. I am not putting on an act, but I am truly a wisp of consciousness that has left its physical body. Yan Hao stood there with his arms crossed, still in disbelief, consciousness that left its body. Right after that, he swung a punch, intending to give him a beating. But the punch passed right through him. Seeing Yan Hao fall to the ground after passing through his body, Bok Vo Han asked in confusion, what on earth are you doing? Terrified, Yan Hao screamed, it's a ghost. What else could it be? Bok Vo Han snapped, how dare you call me a ghost? This is the soul projection technique, a skill that only martial artists who have reached an extremely profound level can perform. But Yan Hao wouldn't listen, casually replying, I've already decided to call you a ghost. The old man was infuriated by him. I already told you I'm not. The scene changes back to the narrator where Than Ke was still calmly explaining. And that is how Nui Yan Hao met his master. The young man asked doubtfully, the soul projection technique. Does something like that really exist? Than Ke confirmed that's right. It is a technique that only martial artists who have reached an extremely high level can perform. The young man was still confused. Who exactly was that martial artist to be able to perform such a profound technique? Than Ke asked with a serious expression, do you know of the Sword Emperor? The young man replied, how could I not know? He is known as the greatest of all time, a great figure from the 10,000 Swords Bok family, and one of the martial world's masters whose name is recorded in history. Than Ke nodded and smiled. That's right. Light Sword Bok Vo Han, the one praised by later generations as the Sword Emperor, is the master of the radiant martial god. The young man was astonished to hear this. Really? But isn't he someone who lived 300 years ago? Than Ke explained that's correct. He is a great man from a forgotten generation, but it is true that he met Nui Yan Hao. The young man exclaimed, what an extraordinary encounter. So, after learning the truth, the radiant martial god must have immediately asked to become his disciple, right? Than Ke laughed, amused. That Nui Yan Hao. It was the other way around. The Sword Emperor, after realizing that for 300 years no descendant of the Bok family had come for him, became determined to accept a disciple at all costs. He turned to the boy and yelled, You must become my disciple. Yunhao indifferently clasped his hands behind his back and walked away. Goodness, why are you so worked up? I'm not from the Bai family. I really can't learn it. I'm leaving now. The old man raised his hand and roared. Do you think I would let you leave so easily? Immediately the path was blocked by a giant boulder. Yunhao stared at the rock blocking his way, momentarily stunned. The old man behind him laughed gleefully. How about that? This is a stone gate, a full 10 feet thick. With your current strength, you can't even dream of lifting or breaking it. But if you learn my martial arts, you can slice through it like mud to get out. Yunhao pondered for a moment and sighed. He reached into his robes, searching for something. I guess I have no choice. Seeing that he still had no intention of accepting him as a master, the old man roared, I already told you that, with your current strength. You can't possibly shatter that stone gate. But Yunhao indifferently took out his sword, sat down, and began to chisel at it. This confused the old man greatly. What are you doing? He replied nonchalantly. Can't you tell, just by looking? I'm digging a doggy door. No matter how hard it is, it's still just a rock. If I keep scraping it with steel, it'll eventually wear down. It'll only take 1 or 2 years to get through. What's the big deal? The old man sighed helplessly. You're planning to do that for 2 whole years. He remained firm in his choice, continuing to chisel diligently. What a funny old man. He's the one who asked me to train. For 35 years at that. Provoked by the boy to the point his whole body trembled, the old man gritted his teeth. This damned brat. I really can't just beat him to death, can I? After a moment, he regained his composure and tried to coax him again. Don't do that anymore. Just try learning it once. I promise I won't disappoint you. The boy shook his head dismissively. I'm not interested in that. The old man didn't give up and continued to persuade him. What if I help you break the stone gate within 25 years? What do you say? He lay sprawled on the ground, shaking his head. 25. Still too long. If it were only 3 years, then maybe I'd reconsider. The old man felt bitter inside, but forced a friendly expression. You mean to say you want to master all of my martial arts in just 3 years? Not even Zhang Sanfeng himself could do that if he came back to life. Yunhao showed no reaction and simply sat up to continue chiseling. Then I guess we have no fate together. The old man could not contain himself any longer. Gritting his teeth, he finally offered a number. 5 years. How about 5 years? No matter what it takes, within 5 years, I will make you the #1 master under heaven. Hearing this, Yunhao finally showed some interest, pondering 5 years to become the greatest master under heaven. For a person to be able to remain as a conscious projection with such a vivid form. I've never heard of such a thing. Perhaps half of what that old man says is true. Maybe he really is the #1 master under heaven. All right then, I'll take this chance to become a master myself. Only 5 years, what a bargain. He decisively tossed his longsword aside and made up his mind. All right, I'll give it a try. At that time, Yunhao had no idea that the person before him was the Sword Emperor. But the Sword Emperor was also truly pitiful because the person he had just met in these final moments. To think this is the kind of person I get at the end of my life. Seeing Dianhao sleeping like a log, the old man roared, Get up now, you damn brat. Dianhao groggily woke up. I'm dead tired. Don't you need to sleep? Oh, right, I forgot. You're already dead, so what's the point of sleeping? But I'm a living person, don't you know? The living need to sleep. Bai Wuxian trembled with rage, but still tried to calm down. I know I was wrong. Okay, but you have to start training now. He couldn't stop cursing the heavens because the disciple he took in his final moments was lazy beyond imagination. Dianhao yawned widely. What's with all this talk about training the moment I open my eyes? Sleeping all day is one thing, but every time he starts to train, Dianhao just goes through the motions once and then stops. The old man was boiling with rage and yelled at this rate. Forget 5 years, you won't finish learning, even if 55 years pass, he asked dejectedly. Isn't there a slightly easier way to learn? He thought to himself, if only. If that disciple of mine were mute, wouldn't I dislike him a little less? Dianhao sighed. That's why people need to find a capable master, for that very reason. Every word he uttered made the old man's guts churn with rage if he even had a body. He would have surely suffered a chi deviation, his meridian shattering before collapsing. He thought to himself, I no longer wish for fame or fortune. I just wanted to pass on my martial arts, so I left my consciousness behind, only to end up in this wretched predicament. If only I had a body, I could just give him a good beating. Wouldn't that make teaching him easier? Dianhao rolled around on the ground for a bit before asking, "Hey, Master, how did you do that back then, Master? When you made that stone gate collapse, can't you use that same power to control my body and just teach me the martial arts that way?" He explained back then, your master merely pulled the string of a preset mechanism. Hearing that the boy grew even more confused, a consciousness without a body, how could you possibly pull anything? He explained that has nothing to do with having a body, it's just using chi to pull the string through the void. Just simple telekinesis, that's all right at this moment. He seemed to have an epiphany and let out a hearty laugh. Why didn't I realize this sooner? Seeing his reaction, Dianhao was full of question marks. What is it, old man? What's wrong with you? Have you gone mad, old geezer? He laughed cheerfully. I don't know why. I was so stuck on this notion that I don't have a physical body. Perhaps it's because I've maintained this consciousness for 300 years that my mind is no longer as sharp. It's possible anyway. Thank you. Dianhao looked at him confused. Old man, what are you mumbling to yourself about? Just then he suddenly sensed something strange. He hurriedly turned to glance behind at the stone wall, which was once sturdy but now had cracks appearing. Meanwhile, the old man continued to laugh. Merrily, thank you. It is because of you that this old man has been enlightened. Although I no longer have a physical body, these stones, this old man can easily control them at any time. Yanhao asked nervously, what are you planning to do, old man? The old man stared at him, his voice firm. If this old man can control stones, then this old man can also do things like this. Yanhao broke out in a cold sweat, hurriedly shouting, Wait, old man, no! Master, but his pleas could not stop the old man as he continued to press his attack towards him. Yanhao's tragic scream echoed and then gradually faded away from that day on. The training of Bai Wuxian and Wei Yanhao continued without end during the day. They both diligently practiced the sword, not wasting a single moment, and at night they would discuss the way of the sword together. Even in his sleep, Wei Yanhao never stopped training, thanks to the peerless Under Heaven Dream, forging divine art that Bai Wuxian imparted his life had become the sword. And the sword was his life. Not for one moment was he allowed to be lazy. Time flew like an arrow, and 5 years passed. And then that day finally came. Yanhao opened the stone wall himself and stepped outside. He looked up at the sky, took a deep breath, and the one who would make the whole world tremble had returned. A sinister smile spread across his lips as he uttered, I have returned. Flashing back to one day before he left the stone wall, Yanhao was deep in sleep. When he was awakened by his master's call, he sighed. Let me sleep a little longer. But the old man persisted in calling. Finally, he had to sit up, saying in annoyance, Seriously, I already told you to let me sleep a bit more. Don't you trust me at all? But right after that, he suddenly realized something was unusual. The old man sat there, his voice serious. Come here. Seeing his master's solemn expression, Yanhao also became more serious. What is it? Master. The old man sighed, his voice full of emotion. This master has spent his entire life pursuing martial arts, and seeing its ultimate point was my only wish. I once thought that if I could just achieve that, everything would be complete, but that was not the reality of it. In the end, martial arts are just forged by people. If one does not experience the ups and downs of life, does not walk the path of an ordinary person, then what is the use of seeing the pinnacle of the sword's path? It was you who helped me realize that. This is the first time I have tried to teach someone. There were times of anger and frustration, but watching you gradually improve, I felt joy and understood what enjoyment is, and then I also came to understand the meaning of affection. Yanhao asked doubtfully, Master, what is wrong with you? Why are you talking as if we will never meet again? The old man nodded in confirmation, his voice low and sad. That's right. The time has come. Yanhao became agitated. What are you talking about? What do you mean the time has come? Do you think you can fool me by saying that in the beginning you told me I had to train for 35 years? Only 5 years have passed. You should exist for another 25 years. The old man did not deny that his voice was indeed filled with bitterness when he said that. But the energy used to maintain my concept has been transferred to you in the form of inner energy to help you survive here without needing food and drink. Maintaining it is not as easy as you think. Now my strength has run out. It is time for us to part ways." Dinhao hesitated, his voice filled with confusion. "Why didn't you tell me earlier? If you had, I could have gone to find food and come back to cultivate right away." The old man thought to himself, "If you leave here, who knows if you will return?" Nevertheless, he did not say it out loud, but gently replied, "It's all right. I understand your feelings. After all, the time spent with you has been very joyful. I once hoped to see you roam the world longer, but this is enough." He smiled contentedly, his eyes filled with pride as he looked at his disciple. "In my eyes, the image of you conquering the world is already clear. Look at the world and embrace it all. If you can do that, everything else will come to you. But before conquering the world, learn to observe people. I have been so focused on reaching the peak that I forgot the things that exist at your feet. Do not repeat my mistakes, even if we cannot meet again. Even if no one in this world knows of my existence, in every move you make, in every sword technique of yours, my shadow will be there. You do not need to become extraordinary or great. Just being yourself is enough." Dianhao's face was sorrowful, his voice choked. "Master, you can't leave like this. There are still many things I haven't learned. I don't need to learn any more. I just need you to stay one more day." The old man gradually faded away, leaving his last words, "As long as you are happy, that is enough." In the dark cave, only Dianhao remained. He stood there, tears streaming down like rain, feeling immense pain, wishing you had told me sooner. Transitioning to the present, Dianhao's face was contorted in anger, veins bulging on his forehead. "So this is why you didn't say anything and just left. When did you write these things?" "Damn, old man, just go in peace. Why play these tricks?" Before disappearing, Bok Vo Han left a message on the garment that Ngui Dianhao was holding, summarizing the content as follows: the martial arts of Ngui Dianhao, which he had learned rapidly over the past 5 years, are still incomplete. Bok Vo Han knew that if he disappeared, Ngui Dianhao would not continue to cultivate, so he had placed a restriction in his body. This restriction drew upon the inner energy of Bok Vo Han, which Ngui Dianhao had swallowed earlier. It serves as a center, causing the martial arts to develop on their own. In other words, you will automatically become stronger. However, if the martial arts that Ngui Dianhao learns do not keep up with the rate of development of the inner energy, then your inner strength will be drained, leading to death. In short, if you are lazy in your cultivation, you will surely die. Reading this, Dianhao couldn't help but feel furious and shouted, "Damn, old man pulling tricks again." So go throughout the world and observe it. If you observe the world, you will feel many things, and once you feel them, you will reap the rewards. Do not remain in a small place and be satisfied with being an ordinary person. Look at the great things and become a great person. Therefore, the first place you must go is No Lum. Go find a world-renowned great scholar and stay by his side. Surely you will be able to feel something. After No Lum, his master made him go to countless other places. Dianhao cursed again. "Damn it, master, just how many places are you planning on sending me to?" He began to stretch his limbs, determined to go home immediately. "Big brother is probably doing fine. I will resolve everything and then return, so please, father and mother, do not worry too much. What needs to be done must be done." He bowed before the cave, saying, "I won't be coming here anymore. You're still making things difficult for me, even at the very end. Wait, where is that No Lamb place anyway?" Not long after he left, the old man's figure reappeared at the cave entrance. He stood there with a gleeful smile on his lips, his eyes filled with satisfaction. "You naive little brat, did you really believe that if you don't go out and experience the world, you would just wither away and die like a dried-up corpse? There's no such martial art in this world. Ho, ho, ho! You planned to live your life cooped up at home, didn't you? I couldn't possibly let you do that. That is why I had to act the way I did. My disciple, this world is vast, and of course I'd hate for the martial arts I taught you to go to waste, you little rascal. Thanks to you, I've been very happy, so you must live a happy life too." After speaking, he gradually faded away from the mortal world. Meanwhile, Dianhao was walking. He suddenly noticed the scent of flowers and grass wafting by. Why is there a scent like this all of a sudden? And so time passed by. One day in Kaifeng Prefecture, a gaunt-looking Dianhao arrived and asked, "Excuse me, is this the Beggar's sect?" Opposite him was Trong Nyut, the branch leader of the Beggar's sect. He looked at him suspiciously. "What is this? What is this smell?" Seeing him, Dian Hao asked, I came here because I have something I want to ask. I heard I have to pay, is that correct? Trong Nyut explained, of course you have to pay. There's nothing in this world for free. He squinted as he observed Dian Hao silently assessing him. Just from his voice, he sounds like he's barely an adult, but he looks like he's over 50. Among all the beggars, this is the first time I've seen one of such a top-tier caliber. He looks less like a person and more like a ghoul, thinking this, he said. Since you look like you're one of us, I'd love to give it to you for free. But we have our own rules here. Seeing Dian Hao's confusion, he explained. We're all beggars after all. Dian Hao angrily shouted, in what part do I look like a beggar? The reply was terrifyingly blunt. You look like a beggar from every angle. In any case, if you don't have money, then there's no information or anything. I can't give it to you, so just go away. Or else you can go beg, bring back the money, and then we'll talk. Dian Hao yelled in frustration. I already told you, I'm not a beggar. Why would I go begging? Trong Nyut looked at him seriously. You don't beg because you're a beggar. You become a beggar because you beg. With a look like yours, just by putting a basket in front of you, you could rake in piles of money. Why would you let a talent like that go to waste? Speaking of which, he suddenly paused, grabbing both of Yan Hao's hands and coaxing, do you want to go into business with me? And so Yan Hao partnered with him to go begging, and indeed, he begged for a lot of money. As the old saying goes, the trade chooses the person, and it's never wrong. Looking at the pile of money in front of him, his whole body trembled with excitement. In just half a day, he had earned half a year's living expenses for the entire branch. The god of wealth has arrived, ho-ho. The beggars outside, not understanding, discussed in confusion what's going on. A real deal beggar must have just arrived. Inside, Zhang Yi looked at him seriously. All right. So what is it you wanted to ask? Yan Hao immediately replied, a list of the world-renowned grand scholars. Their residences along with their hobbies and skills. Yan Hao continued a list of the world-renowned blacksmiths. Their residences along with their hobbies and skills and so on. He asked about every single profession in the world. After hearing this, Zhang Yi was stunned. You want to know all of that information? Well, a promise is a promise. So I'll find out for you. Come back in 7 days to get the information. He looked over at him and shouted loudly, Hey, hey, I never said you could just lie around there, did I? Yan Hao sighed. I have nowhere to go and nothing else to do, so I will stay here. Zhang Yi frowned. You're saying you're going to stay here. It's not out of the question. Well then, let's just do that. A beggar rushed over with a worried look on his face. Branch, leader, something big has happened. Zhang Yi knitted his brows, his voice filled with annoyance. What's all the fuss about? What kind of big deal could you beggars possibly have? The man hurriedly explained. Sir, our brothers of the beggar sect are all about to starve to death. After hearing this, Zhang Yi looked bewildered. What just then? From a distance, harsh scolding rang out. Where did you lot, who don't even look like proper beggars, come from, daring to beg here? Get out of my sight! As Zhang Yi ran, he asked the man beside him, who immediately led the way, saying, Sir, come and see, it's over there. But Zhang Yi was still incredibly annoyed. What on earth is going on that you're making such a fuss? When he arrived, Zhang Yi was startled. His face twisting on the street, a crowd was still shouting furiously, Hey you guys, if you're going to be a beggar, you should at least be like that one over there. At least be on that level. The target of their ridicule was none other than Yan Hao. They threw money at his face while showing pity. In all my years, this is the first time I've seen someone so destitute. So utterly destitute. Take this little bit of money and go get yourself a hot meal. Zhang Yi stood nearby, jaw-dropped and speechless, while Yan Hao smiled and thought to himself, making money is pretty easy, huh? And from then on, the process of Yun Hao's takeover of the beggars sect officially began after his return. Yun Hao sprawled on the floor, whining, I'm so thirsty. Hearing this, Zhang Il immediately yelled out, Someone bring water here now. Yun Hao looked at the bowl of water in his hand and sighed. What kind of bowl is this? It's so dirty. And enraged Zhang Il immediately started beating the subordinate. I told you to bring a new bowl. Useless fool. Yun Hao continued to complain. This water is a bit too warm, isn't it? Zhang Il grew even more furious, screaming, I told you to go up the mountain and bring back cool, clean water. How many more times do I have to say it for you people to understand? Huh. Yunhao, still sprawled on the floor, chuckled. This is good enough. Jang Il looked at him, his whole body trembling with anger, but he didn't dare say a word, only cursing inwardly. Damn it all. To think that I, the proud branch leader of the Beggar sect, have become a mere servant to that beggar. He orders me around, but if I throw him out, all my brothers will starve to death. Just when will the information that damn brat requested finally arrive? As he was thinking, Jang Il heard Yunhao complain about a backache and rushed over to give him a massage. Good heavens, you can't have a backache, sir. Just then, a voice called from outside. Branch leader, the information has arrived. Hearing this, Jang Il's face lit up as if he'd won the lottery. The information was then handed to Yunhao. After reading it for a moment, he asked, Is this everything? This is all the information you have. And you actually managed to sell this stuff. A confused Jang Il took the paper. What do you mean by that, sir? Here, let me see. He read it intently, his face immediately scrunching up. Those damn bastards. Are they trying to starve this entire branch to death? Or what? What kind of half-assed information is this? This won't do at all. I have to think of something. Yunhao, who had sat up by now, said, It's because I didn't give you enough money, right? Or should I go earn some more? Jang Il, terrified, quickly stopped him, thinking to himself, I need to come up with a plan before that damn beggar causes more trouble. He then led Yunhao out into the street, saying in a fawning voice, Why would a noble person such as yourself need to go through the trouble of begging? Please come this way to enjoy yourself, sir. They arrived at a mysterious place. A female voice filled with surprise and a hint of scrutiny rang out. Looking to buy information. What a rare and curious sight. The infamous sly dog Jang Il. To think you would one day find your way to my doorstep. The owner of that voice was Lady Ghost, the hallmaster of the Kaifeng branch of the Yahello sect, a notorious intelligence organization. Jang Il immediately clasped his hands and showed his respect according to proper etiquette. Greetings, hallmaster. Behind him, Yunhao was still preoccupied with the sly dog nickname that had just been mentioned. He chuckled and began to tease Jang Il. Is your nickname Fox Dog? It sounds like garbage, doesn't it? Ha ha. In his heart, Trong Nhat just wanted to curse that damn dog Dien Hao, but he still tried to suppress his annoyance. He turned to the ghost matron and said decisively, I need information. Seeing Trong Nhat silently enduring it, Dien Hao grew bolder and continued to tease him relentlessly. The ghost matron observed the scene. Her face showed clear amusement, and she smiled, saying, What a strange sight. A branch master of the Beggar sect like you, coming to an intelligence organization like ours. Our Ha-O-Man to ask for information. Don't tell me you don't know that the relationship between the Ha-O-Man and the Beggar sect is like that of cats and dogs. What on earth is going on? Trong Nhat hurriedly pointed at Dien Hao, who was standing behind him, and explained, It's not the Beggar sect that needs the information. I'm simply bringing you a client. Hearing the explanation, the ghost matron's expression suddenly darkened. She frowned and questioned, Are you messing with me? So what if the request isn't from the Beggar sect? The client is still a beggar from the Beggar sect, isn't he? Are you trying to mock our Ha-O-Man now? Do you two want to provoke us? Let me tell you, our Ha-O-Man has absolutely no information to sell to the Beggar sect. While he was joking around, Dien Hao heard the ghost matron's harsh words. His expression also became more serious. He said bluntly, But I'm not a member of the Beggar sect. The ghost matron turned away decisively, not wanting to talk anymore. She warned in a cold voice, If you two continue to fool around like this, then I won't let it slide. At the very least, you should show a little mutual respect for each other's pride. Dien Hao, completely unfazed, retorted, Isn't the Ha-O-Man supposed to be an intelligence organization? But you don't even know whether or not I'm a member of the Beggar sect. And you dare to make a living by selling information. How unprofessional. So very unprofessional. Hearing those provocative words, a vein bulged on the ghost matron's forehead. She suddenly spun around her eyes as sharp as daggers, glaring at them, and growled Kong Vo as soon as a voice responded. She immediately asked about Dien Hao's identity. A deep voice answered, Her specific information about him is still unknown. We only know that he is not a member of the Beggar sect. After hearing this, the ghost matron snorted angrily, while Dien Hao spread his two hands and shrugged nonchalantly. See, so can you sell the information now? The ghost matron burst out laughing gleefully, but her laugh was filled with irritation. So, what if I won't sell it? This old lady is annoyed now. so I'm not selling. The two of you get lost now." Hearing this, Dian Hao wasn't angry at all. Instead, he smirked faintly. "The ways of business are so revered these days. I said I would pay for it, yet the young lady adamantly refuses to sell. At this rate, the downfall of the Ha-O-Man sect isn't far off." Kui Nuong Nuong turned and snorted with contempt. "If you don't want your 4 limbs chopped off, then you'd best watch that mouth of yours." Dian Hao still showed not a hint of fear. On the contrary, he even looked surprised. "Oh, did I say something wrong? Old lady!" Those 2 words were the last straw, causing Kui Nuong Nuong to erupt in fury. "Are you deliberately trying to humiliate our Ha-O-Man sect?" She roared, but Dian Hao paid her no mind, still standing there leisurely. He even whistled nonchalantly. Seeing his indifferent attitude, she yelled, "Kong Vo, teach him a lesson." The assassin named Kong Vo, emerging from the shadows, instantly appeared before Dian Hao with astonishing speed. His attack aimed directly at Dian Hao. Trung Yet screamed in horror, "Don't!" But to everyone's surprise, Dian Hao just covered Trung Yet's mouth with one hand, motioning for him to get back, while his other hand swung up lightly. It smacked Kong Vo right on the head, causing the assassin to collapse on the spot. Both Kui Nuong Nuong and Trung Yet were stunned into silence at the sight. Dian Hao took down a top assassin with a single punch that looked as light as a feather, revealing his incredible power. It was only then that they realized he was a true martial arts master. Dian Hao scratched his head and smiled sheepishly. "Sorry about that. If someone tries to hit me, I instinctively counterattack. If you had just said something before rushing in, I would have adjusted my strength a bit." Trung Yet thought to himself, I already knew he was a martial artist. But just now, even I couldn't keep up with that move. He's nothing short of a monster. Dian Hao sighed and muttered, "This is all that old man's fault." Kui Nuong Nuong, having composed herself, faced Dian Hao and cupped her fists respectfully. "A great master has graced us with your presence. I was blind not to recognize you. Please forgive me." Dian Hao looked at her puzzled. "What are you talking about, miss? Haven't we been talking for a while now?" Kui Nuong Nuong frowned, her eyes filled with thought. "But given the circumstances, it seems your purpose here isn't so noble, is it, Trung Yat?" Startled at being called out, he quickly waved his hands and tried to explain, "Hall Master Kui, I don't know if you'll believe me, but I truly have no ill intentions. It's just that there's some information he needs, and the Beggar sect is currently unable to handle the search. So I took the liberty of coming here to request help from the Ha-O-Man sect." Kui Nuong Nuong raised an eyebrow, her tone skeptical. "Is that the reason you brought him here? You led a fierce tiger into my rabbit's den, and now you're saying you only came here because you needed our help." While those two were arguing heatedly, Dian Hao had already dragged the unconscious Kong Vo away and said casually, "He's injured, so he should go rest." After a moment of consideration and scrutiny, Kui Nuong Nuong's expression finally turned serious. "Very well. I will temporarily trust the words of the Beggar's sect's branch leader." Hearing this, Trung Yat breathed a sigh of relief and cupped his fists in thanks. Kui Nuong Nuong continued. Her tone turned cold, however, providing information is another matter entirely, since it is a fact that he injured one of our people. Obviously, our Ha-O-Man sect wants him to pay a fitting price for that action. Yan Hao asked doubtfully what price. She let out a sinister laugh, her eyes glinting with malice. "Once you've entered the underworld, there's only one price to pay. Blood for blood, a life for a life." As soon as she finished speaking, the 4 shadows, 4 dark figures instantly appeared and surrounded Yan Hao. Yan Hao wasn't bothered at all. He teased, "You people here always have such interesting ways of showing up. Impressive, huh?" Ghost Lady stared right at him, her expression more serious than ever. "I don't know what your purpose is, but once you've injured one of our people, then don't even think about leaving this place alive." Yan Hao replied with a bored and helpless tone. "Honestly, I keep telling you, but you just don't seem to get it, do you? I already said it wasn't intentional. It's because he tried to hit me first, so I just unconsciously gave him a light tap, that's all." Ghost Lady's face twisted into an extremely grim expression. "That damn skinny bag of bones. He's so infuriating." She then continued, "The methods of our underworld are very simple. If one hand is cut off, we'll cut off both their hands and feet. If we're slapped on the cheek, we'll carve out our opponent's cheek." Yan Hao chuckled and made a sarcastic comparison. "Your way of doing things is just like a bunch of rowdy kids." Beside them, Zhang Yi's face was extremely tense. He hastily advised, I already told you to just shut your mouth. Ghost Lady ignored Zhang Yi and continued speaking. This time we'll go easy on you and just carve out a piece of flesh from your face. Yan Hao waved his hand, cutting her off. Excuse me for interrupting, but where are you going to find any flesh on my face? I haven't been eating very well lately, so my body is all skin and bones, see? Ghost Lady was once again driven mad with anger by him. She decisively ordered the four shadows to finish him off. Faced with a dangerous situation, Yan Hao just stood there nonchalantly scratching his head. His expression was full of confusion. Just a moment ago, you were demanding to carve the flesh from my face. And now you want to kill me. You're already starting to charge interest, huh? Talk about interest breeding. More interest. How terrifying. But the four shadows assassins feared by others were nothing to Yan Hao. No one even saw how he moved. They only saw the four shadows' bodies and weapons flying in different directions everywhere. Ghost Lady was once again so shocked by him that her jaw dropped. Yan Hao threatened coldly. His voice echoed throughout the space. None of you should move because I don't want to have to kill anyone yet. Zhang Yi was once again stunned by his terrifying strength, leaving him completely frozen and motionless. Inside, Ghost Lady was utterly horrified. What is this terrifying aura? Who is he? Yan Hao continued, his voice tinged with contemplation. My master once said that those who attack you 2 times might also attack a 3rd and 4th time, so you must never leave any loose ends. Even though I hate that old geezer, but I have to admit he's never been wrong. Hearing this, Ghost Lady felt her tension spike to the absolute limit. I've messed with the wrong person. That guy is definitely not an existence that the Ha-O-Man sect can handle. I have to stay calm, just one little slip-up, and the Jia-Ao sect's branch in Kaifeng Prefecture might just disappear today. Thinking this, she let out a dry cough, trying to maintain her composure, and asked, What do you want? What kind of information? Zhang Yi immediately stepped forward and held out the paper in his hand. You see this paper in my hand. It has a lot of blank spaces, you just need to fill them in. Lady Ghost took the paper, finding it incredibly hard to believe. Is that all? Just because he couldn't handle this matter, that bastard had to bring a monster like that to the Jia-Ao sect. After thinking for a moment, she said, This is not a difficult task, but I need some time to find the information. Can you wait? Upon receiving Yan Hao's agreement, she breathed a sigh of relief. In that case, please wait for me a moment, and this branch master of the Kaifeng Beggars sect. Would you mind coming with me for a bit? A short while later, Zhang Yi returned to Yan Hao's side. The moment he saw him, Yan Hao burst out laughing. Your face is swollen like a steamed bun. Don't tell me you got beaten up. Ho ho, the Beggars sect's reputation isn't all that great, is it? To let the Jia-Ao sect beat you into this state. Zhang Yi pointed at Yan Hao in frustration and yelled, That woman isn't just any subordinate. From the Jia-Ao sect, she is the daughter of the Jia-Ao sect's leader, the next successor of the sect. She grew up eating spiritual herbs for every meal. She chews on elixir pills like they're iron pellets. How could I possibly fight her? Just then, Lady Ghost appeared behind him. I have brought the information you requested. Zhang Yi jumped back in surprise, while Yan Hao happily stood up, cupped his fists in thanks. The 3 of them sat down at the table to discuss. We also have our own principles. Seeing that Yan Hao didn't seem to understand, Zhang Yi reminded him, It's the information fee. Yan Hao snapped to his senses and asked how much Lady Ghost stated the number firmly 5,000 taels. Yan Hao held out 5 worthless copper coins. Take it. Zhang Yi quickly reminded him, It's silver taels, silver taels. Yan Hao was shocked. What? Why is the information fee so expensive? Lady Ghost explained it includes top-tier information, so the price is a little high. Yan Hao sighed. I guess there's no other way. Seeing Yan Hao get up as if to go outside, Zhang Yi asked, Where are you going? Yan Hao replied, I don't have any silver, so I have to go earn some money where else. Zhang Yi rushed over and grabbed his leg. No way. Why do you think I brought you here? Yan Hao was confused. Then what do you want me to do now? Zhang Yi did his best to stop Yan Hao from going out to beg on the streets. In the end, Zhang Yi had to empty out all the money Yan Hao had earned earlier, along with his own secret stash, and for the remaining amount, he wrote an IOU to scrape together the 5,000 taels. Seeing Zhang Yi crying his eyes out, Yan Hao asked him, Are you crying? Zhang Yi wailed. You cleaned out my entire secret stash, and you still have the nerve to say that. Yan Hao read the information intently, remarking how meticulous it was, completely different from what the beggars had gathered. The Haomun is truly in a different league. I also want to send a letter to Guangdong Ghost Matron. Is the fee expensive? She replied that it would be more expensive than a security bureau, but in exchange, you just need to answer a few of my questions. As a substitute for the delivery fee, she began to ask for Yan Hao's name and age, and upon learning he was only 17, Zhang Yi exclaimed in astonishment. What? You're younger than me, the ghost. Matron also broke into a cold sweat, thinking to herself to have such martial prowess at only 17 years old. Then she suddenly remembered Guangdong's Wei Yan Hao. Could you be the 5th young master of the Guangdong Wei family? Yan Hao was surprised. You know of me. The ghost matron explained. How could I not? The Guangdong Wei family has commissioned us to search for their young master. Zhang Yi was also astonished, the 5th son of the Guangdong Wei family, Wei Yan Hao. You're Wei Shan Hao's younger brother. Yan Hao was surprised. Again, you even know my eldest brother. Zhang Yi yelled, of course. We're friends. The ghost matron continued. So you want to send this letter to the Guangdong Wei family? It will take at least 10 days for the letter to arrive. Yan Hao nodded. That's fine. I've already waited 5 years, so another 10 days is nothing. She then took out an item and said, please accept this. This is a token signifying you are now a VIP guest of the Ha-Omun. Just tie it where you are staying, and our intelligence agents will find you. A thought flashed through her mind. A boy of only 17 who could overwhelm both Kong Wu and Si Ying in a single move, surely in the Central Plains right now. No one can match such terrifying power. Establishing a good relationship with him certainly couldn't hurt. He took the piece of cloth and asked curiously, will I get free service every time I use this? The girl hurriedly replied, that's not how it works, sir. Yan Hao sighed. Then it's not very useful. She quickly interrupted, if you put it that way, then next time and only next time we will not charge you for information. This is a special favor just for you. I don't want the relationship between the Ha-O-Mun and yourself to grow distant over what just happened. Yan Hao chuckled. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? Zhang Yi stood nearby, his face as black as a pot's bottom. I came here and got my secret savings cleaned out, and even got a black eye for my troubles. And you have the nerve to say that. Yan Hao chuckled to himself. It's just business as usual. Who asked you to be such a sly dog? Zhang Yi yelled. I already told you I'm not. After the two of them left Xiaowu Gate, seeing Zhang Yi constantly whining about money, Yan Hao glanced at him and sighed. Money is something that comes and goes. Besides, a beggar like you should not be so greedy. You should live according to your station. In his heart, Zhang Yi seethed. That bastard is like my sworn enemy, yet I cannot just beat him to death right now. He decided to turn around. Anyway, you have already squeezed out all the necessary information. Right? So, I guess you have no more business in Kaifeng, right? But suddenly, Yan Hao grabbed his shoulder. Hold on, I still have a small problem. I am completely out of travel money. Veins bulged on Zhang Yi's face. Not daring to curse him directly, he could only look up to the heavens and scream, damn it all. Inside Xiaowu, Gate Lady Gui stood on the highest floor, observing them. After a moment, she spoke. Wukong immediately sent a message back to the sect, saying that the two missing young masters of the Guangdong Wei family have become masters and have returned. Scene changed to the Pine Forest Hanlin Grand Academy. Beside a lake, a man was sitting admiring the scenery while enjoying some tea. That was the Grand Scholar of the Three Absolutes, Wen Yuhuan. As he drank tea and mentioned the Double Ninth Festival, a young woman approached from behind. Father, you have a visitor. This young woman was his daughter, Wen Enchi. He asked doubtfully, I do not recall having an appointment with anyone today. She explained, the guest says they wish to have a game of Go with you. Hearing this, his face lit up with joy. A game of Go, a pastime he dearly loved. After a moment, Enchi returned. I have brought the guest. The person who came to see him was none other than Yan Hao, still with his scruffy appearance. He asked, I wonder if this humble one's sudden visit is an inconvenience to you. The old man quickly invited him in. How could it be an inconvenience? For a guest to visit my home like this can be considered an elegant pleasure for a scholar like myself. So you truly wish to have a game of Go with me? Yan Hao sat down opposite him and confirmed that is correct. Because it is the only thing this humble one knows. Wen Yuhuan gave a bright, leisurely smile and nodded. Wonderful, then let us try a game. This old man will take the white stones. I invite my worthy friend to go first. Yan Hao did not hesitate, swiftly picking up a stone, his voice full of excitement. Then this humble one shall make the first move now. Observing the young man's somewhat clumsy and awkward way of holding the stone, Wen Yuhuan could not help but feel a quiet sense of disappointment. Looking at this form, I'm afraid I cannot expect much from his go skills. Perhaps he only came here looking for a warm meal. Well, I shall just play one perfunctory game with him, and then find a way to help him out. However, very soon after, Yan Hao seriously placed the first stone. His focused and decisive manner startled Wen Yuhuan slightly. Is this not supposed to be a beginner? Very well, let this old man see how talented you really are. After a few moves, Wen Yuhuan fell into deep thought. Is this a practitioner of the fast play style? The sophistication in this game, it was completely unfitting for his young age. As the two continued their match, more and more sweat beaded on Van Huan's forehead. His hand holding the piece began to tremble with hesitation. What in the world is this? This is no longer the Tuck-He style. This is a war demon. A war demon is a term for a player with a terrifyingly aggressive style, as cruel as a demon on the battlefield. Seeing his opponent hesitate, Dian Hao smiled and asked, "Are you not making your move?" Van Huan stared blankly at the board, marveling to himself. It is astonishing. His aura is like a relentlessly surging wave, even though we are not in a real battle. A battle of life and death, yet he attacks with the ferocity of a battle-crazed maniac. The moment he finds the slightest opening, he immediately lunges for it, tearing his opponent apart as brutally as a starving ghoul. This is truly a war demon. At this, he clasped his hands, his voice full of respect. That was truly an outstanding match. Young friend, you truly possess a very unique style. Dian Hao replied politely. You praise me too highly, sir. It is all thanks to being constantly tormented by a terrible master. Hearing this, Van Huan was a bit surprised. You have a master, young friend. Memories of his days in the cave flashed through Dian Hao's mind. His master's voice echoed. If you lose, you will practice 10 times as much. If I lose, I will give you 3 days of rest. Recalling this, he sighed softly. Yes, I do. My master is an incredibly difficult old man. If you would not mind, I would very much like to stay here for a time because that is what my master instructed. He told me to try living in Neolam for a while to learn about the world and gain experience. Upon hearing this, Van Huan had a realization. Ah, I see. So you are following your master's instructions, young friend. If that is the case, then of course this old man must lend a hand. I will arrange for a neat and clean room. Young friend, please feel at ease and stay here for as long as you like. He then turned to his daughter and instructed Anqi, please prepare a room and some clothes for our esteemed guest. Oh, that is right. First, take our guest to the bathing room. Dian Hao hastily waved his hands. But I have no money. Van Huan let out a hearty laugh. How could this old man possibly expect material payment from the guests who visit this place? In fact, even if you had not asked, I was already planning to invite you to stay, young friend. Instead, all I ask is that from time to time you will join me or the other guests who visit this place for a few relaxing games. Dian Hao scratched his face and nodded slightly. I believe I can do that. Then, if you will excuse me, I will follow Anqi. She then gestured for the young man to follow her. Soon after, Dian Hao was soaking in a cozy, warm bath. His entire body relaxed. Ah, this feels amazing. I used to hate bathing the most, but why is the water here so pleasant? Maybe it's because the water is so good that my skin looks much better. It's all your fault, you damned old man. In fact, I'm so happy I could cry right now. A moment later, Antri returned with the clothes, her mind still filled with questions. She truly couldn't understand why her father would accept someone like him, as a guest in the manor no less. Just at that moment, Dian Hao suddenly walked. I thought you were a ghost. Please cover yourself up. Dian Hao reached out to take the clothes, still looking confused, while Antri secretly glanced at him, her cheeks flushed after taking a shower. He looked quite handsome. Moreover, he had a strong, muscular body with clearly defined six-pack abs. After covering his lower half, he glanced at her and asked, Is this okay? Antri gasped and exclaimed, Who are you? In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. Antri hurriedly ran to her father, her voice full of urgency. Please, father mentioned that name just once. He is the newcomer to the manor. Since he arrived, he hasn't stepped out of his room except to eat the meals brought to him. He just sleeps all day, 7 days and 7 nights. That's how he lives. Von Huan listened and seemed to be pondering something. Then he remembered he hadn't asked for his name yet. Antri continued to complain. Father, didn't you always teach us that laziness is a crime? Why do you always remind us to live diligently and industriously? Why don't you scold his laziness, even though he is a guest? Because of him, the atmosphere in the manor is becoming unbearable. He replied calmly, Antri, your father really enjoys playing Go, because when playing one can understand the opponent. Words can be chosen, expressions can be hidden, but one's temperament cannot be concealed. A person in a hurry cannot play a leisurely game of Go. A leisurely person cannot enjoy an intense battle. A person's life and character will be fully expressed through their temperament. His temperament is extremely rough and irritable, but I have never seen anyone with such an extreme temperament. From this, I deduce that he is definitely not a lazy or easygoing person. Perhaps he has lived a life of hardship and cruelty that we cannot even imagine. The harsher the sun, the darker the shadow. If he seems lazy, it also means that his previous life was very difficult. No one would chase a bird seeking shelter from the rain under the eaves. And no one asks why it doesn't fly away to escape the rain. So can't you let him rest a little more? Antri sighed after hearing this. I understand now. Although she said that in her heart she thought differently, when she reached Dian Hao's room, she couldn't hold back. Father must be fooled by him. A lazy person like this. It can't be the hidden dragon you mentioned. I must drive him away at all costs. She walked over and called for him to get up. Dian Hao turned and asked, What's the matter? She angrily pulled the blanket up. I told you to get up. The sun is already high in the sky, and you're just getting up. Why not wait until the sun sets to wake me up? She snapped irritably. What in the world is wrong with you? How can you have the nerve to laze around for 7 days and 7 nights in a place where everyone is studying so diligently, huh? He glanced at her and replied nonchalantly, You all study because you want to, and I sleep because I want to. Is there a problem? She grew even angrier and yelled, Stop talking nonsense. Even if that weren't the case, I can't stand watching you roll around in bed for 7 days and 7 nights without even washing up. Who do you think has to wash that blanket for you, huh? You have to work if you want to eat. You might not know this, but things aren't exactly prosperous here. If you were a scholar, I could be a bit more understanding. This place doesn't have enough rice to feed a freeloader. He looked confused and said, That can't be right. Clearly your father. Before he could finish, she cut him off. I'm the one who manages the money around here. Dian Hao sighed. So what is it you want me to do, miss? She led him outside, pointed to a pile of laundry, and said, All you have to do is wash this entire pile. He glanced at it and asked back this whole pile. Is this the price I have to pay for my meals? Did I eat rice plated with gold or something? And Tri turned to leave, smiling to herself in delight. I'm counting on you then. Remember to wash them nice and clean. If a single one isn't clean, I'll make you wash it again, so you better do a thorough job. As she walked away, she thought smugly, Go on and have a taste of suffering. There's no way you can finish that today. But a couple of hours later, she was astonished to see everything had been washed clean, hung up on the racks. She couldn't believe her eyes. How could you possibly have finished all of this? Was this blanket always this color? Just how in the world did you do it? This won't do. I can't let him get off so easily. Just you wait. She then led him to the woodshed. He looked at the pile of logs before him and asked, You want me to chop all this wood? She replied with a sly grin. I'll give you 1 week. Think you can handle it? She gloated to herself, 1 week my foot. You'll run away before a single day is up, just you watch. But when she came back again, she found he had finished it all and was napping on the pile of firewood. What in the world is going on? This is enough work to take 10 strong men 10 days to finish. Next was washing the dishes and sweeping the courtyard, and it was all the same. And Tri was so angry she gritted her teeth. How could he possibly get all of this done so easily? The 3 great scholars' decision to allow Wei Dian Hao into the estate was a huge mistake. They never should have let him stay here. Hearing this, the young man looked confused and asked, Why would you say that, sir? The divine beggar slowly explained, Because I can confirm that wherever that guy sets foot, disaster will follow, even if it is not his intention. But wherever he passes, turmoil is sure to follow, and No Lam is no exception. Ever since Wei Dianhao appeared, the once peaceful hall of learning has been swept into a vortex of turmoil. The young man, still not fully understanding, asked again, "So what exactly happened, sir?" The divine beggar replied thoughtfully, "It all started with games of Go. One day, Dianhao was playing Go and thought to himself, how did I end up in this situation? At first I just thought guests came to the manor. Just to play a single game of Go. Outside the manor, a long line of people were queuing up, chattering excitedly. It seems everyone received an invitation. For the 3 great scholars to send an invitation, this person must be a master player with a truly unique style. I was curious too, so I rushed over to see for myself. A game piece that stands still will eventually rot. The board is ready, waiting only for its master. Now the time has come. Please everyone visit and let us discuss witnessing Dianhao's play style. Everyone was amazed. How can such a dominant style exist? He gives his opponents absolutely no chance. Before long, at the Han Lam Grand Academy, there was a Go Saint. Countless high-level players lost to him, thoroughly convinced of his superiority, but Dianhao's games were incredibly bitter, because he was intentionally letting his opponents win, just to lose, hoping to avoid being challenged to more duels. But why are more and more challengers showing up? He sighed to himself, in this situation, I would rather be doing laundry. Plus, all this sitting is making my back ache. Suddenly, a loud shout caught his attention. I already told you, I don't like it. Dianhao glanced over, curious about the commotion. A tall, dark, and rich guy was trying to marry Anqi. He was Luke Mok Fong. Anqi's attitude was resolute. You don't stand a chance. His eyes turned cold and sharp as he threatened her. You will regret this. I advise you to reconsider because I have never let anything I want slip through my fingers. Whatever I like. I must obtain no matter the cost for my peace of mind. For now, I am advising you nicely, but if you continue to refuse me next time, it will not be just advice. Are you really okay with letting the Han Lam Grand Library, a place with such a glorious history, collapse just because of you? Anqi waved her hand dismissively. Just you try it. The Han Lam Grand Library will not collapse that easily. He continued to pressure her, which only made Anqi more furious as she yelled. I hate ugly guys like you the most. You think you are hot stuff, acting like you own the world. Now listen up and listen good. I will never marry you after that. And she immediately turned to leave. But he grabbed her small hand. She yelled, let go of me. Veins popped on Mok Fong's face. You should not have angered me. Then with a twisted expression, he threatened her. Let us just make this a done deal and see if you are still so arrogant then. Hearing this, Anqi trembled in fear. Just then, Dianhao spoke up. Those are not the words a guest should be saying. Anqi used the opportunity to pull her hand free. Then she turned to him and snapped. Have you finished the laundry yet? He noticed her hand trembling in pain. Then he borrowed a hair tie and with a cold gaze, walked straight toward Mok Fong. This annoyed him and he spoke out. Do you not know it is rude to eavesdrop on other people's conversations? He walked up to him and replied casually. You have got some taste in clothes for a pig. And you dare to bark at me. Mok Fong quickly realized, you are the Han Lam Go Saint, the new rising star. His face was still cold. Who are you? Just as he was about to introduce himself, Dianhao suddenly changed his mind. Forget it. Like I care who the hell you are. This drove the fat guy mad, making him want to challenge him to a solo duel right there and then. The crowd of Go players recognized him as a member of the Liu family who wanted to compete in Go tomorrow, forcing Mu Feng to leave. But before he left, he didn't forget to make a threat. If you don't come to me within 3 days, I'll handle this my way. Only then did he turn to ask Anqi, who is that guy acting all tough? She explained to him that he is Liu Mu Feng, the adopted son of eunuch Liu Ji, who holds absolute power in the royal court. He asked curiously, why is he interested in you? Anqi replied shyly. He says I have to marry him. I've told him no many times. But he's always so persistent. It's incredibly annoying. Dianhao immediately teased, I think he seems like a decent catch. He's powerful and devoted. And she screamed, do you have a death wish? That man doesn't want to marry me because he loves me. He only wants to use me. Then she explained, you might not know this, but my father is highly respected among the Confucian scholars. He is even considered to be of the caliber of a prime minister leading a nation. Despite that, he prefers a life of seclusion indifferent to the court. This is because the eunuchs manipulating the royal court are wary of my father. The Hanlin Grand Archive doesn't fall under any single jurisdiction. Therefore, establishing its foundation was extremely difficult, but this also allowed it to build deep connections with many powerful factions, even though everyone knows the eunuchs are treacherous officials. But no one can get rid of them. The Confucian scholar factions are unable to unite against them, but if my father were to take an official post and rally the scholars, the eunuchs would feel threatened, and it's because of this that Eunuch Liu is trying everything to prevent my father from joining the court. Recently, he's found a way, which is my marriage to Liu Mufeng. Meanwhile, Mufeng was kneeling to give a report. Forgive me, father. A person called the Hanlin Ghost Saint has appeared at the Hanlin Grand Archive, making the marriage proposal more difficult. Eunuch Liu Ji, with his robust physique, spoke without hesitation. He is merely a nobody with no sect or affiliation. The subordinate explained, he himself isn't the issue, but many masters from all over have gathered to play Go with him. With so many eyes on us, our actions are severely restricted. If we make a careless move, I'm afraid it will backfire, he said, sweating profusely. Liu Ji understood but still threatened. Do you think this mission is merely for my own safety? Controlling the royal court is a direct order from that person. Failure means death for all of us. His eyes turned vicious as he commanded, if there are too many influential people, then just use them. Otherwise, just kill them all. That so-called ghost saint is no exception. The next day, at Hantan Censor, Li Wang went to see one of the three great scholars. Are you still refusing to join the imperial court? He calmly replied, please forgive me, your excellency. Li Wang questioned him. Why can't you see that you are the only one who can maintain balance in the court and prevent Liu Ji from usurping all power? Listen here, Wen Yuhuan. Their movements have been strange lately. His eyes grew grim. Even within the Fifth Army and among the scholar officials, there are signs of disloyalty. Liu Ji is creating a diversion for us. Yuhuan was puzzled. Why would a eunuch with no descendants want to stage a rebellion? The censor answered, because of the master he serves from the shadows. The power struggles among the eunuchs are more vicious than you can imagine, and yet Liu Ji, who came from nothing, eliminated all his rivals to climb to where he is today. His rivals died in accidents, and even those who weren't his rivals often perished from sudden illnesses. It's as if someone was clearing the path for him to rise. Therefore, I am certain he has a backer, which is why I need you to lead the scholar officials to oppose them. Du Huan wanted more time to think. The Lord Censor did not press him, and instead changed the subject. Who is this new rising talent of yours? Du Huan's face lit up as he praised him, calling him extraordinary. Hearing this, Prince Lai grew very curious and wanted to meet him. At his command, Du Huan had Antri summon Dian Hao, but his appearance soaked like a drowned rat made everyone wonder if it had even been raining. Du Huan walked over and asked, did you sleep well? I slept very well, he replied, until your daughter threw a basin of water right in my face. Du Huan then introduced the Lord Censor. He does not wish to reveal his identity. Just say, I am a curious old man who happened to be passing by. I just want to play a game of go with you, that's all. Din Hao refused immediately. There are many people waiting in line. You came late, so of course you cannot play ahead of them. Well, the prince laughed. Aha, I have a solution. I just need to ask the others for their permission. However, he did not see it that way. Isn't that just coercion? The prince was at a loss for words. Dian Hao speculated, judging by your bearing, you must hold a high rank, so if you ask, others will have no choice but to yield, but they will not do so willingly. I may not look it, but I have my own principles and promises. The prince's face darkened, thinking to himself, this guy is really stubborn. Can't you make an exception? But he was still met with a firm refusal. And Tri, standing nearby, spoke up. Perhaps I have a solution. She gently placed a hand on his shoulder. I am canceling all of the Go games scheduled for today, including this one. Hearing this, he cried out in alarm. What, are you serious? And Tri was resolute. If you want to rest, then stop messing around. In the end, he had to compromise. Seeing this, the prince's high opinion of him faltered, wanting to use the game of Go. To see what kind of person he truly was. In the blink of an eye, night fell. He was still sitting dazedly before the Go board, not saying a word. Du Huan approached and asked, my lord, why are you still sitting here? He stroked his beard deep in thought, a terrifyingly fluid and unpredictable style. I doubt you would see a style like this even on a battlefield. Just what has that man been through? Neither his ferocity on the board nor his usual lazy self is the kind of talent I'm looking for. The prince finally spoke. I simply don't understand why you value him so much. The other replied, because I saw it with my own 2 eyes. During my game with him, there was a moment when I made a brilliant move. I thought the match was decided, so I took my eyes off the board and looked at him. I saw a look of pure, selfless focus in his eyes, the kind of look that only someone in a state of complete immersion reveals for an instant. It is incredibly rare. The prince asked curiously, "Are you certain you were not mistaken?" "I am absolutely certain," he confirmed. I was not mistaken. Still, the prince remained unconvinced and started to walk away. Regardless, I have no intention of employing that man. He looked up at the moon and sighed to himself. What a shame. It was a perfect night with no reason for sorrow. But just then someone appeared. It was Mok Fong and his assassins. At his command, they all attacked, charging straight into Han Dam. A guard who noticed them turned, but it was too late. They were dealt with in a flash. Countless servants and Go players who came to challenge were slain. Then, with a wave of his hand, Mok Fong bellowed, "Seize all of them! Not a single rat escapes tonight." Meanwhile, Dian Hao was sleeping like a log, completely oblivious to the chaos. The memory of his humiliation at An Tri's hands that day only fueled his resentment. Soon, everyone was captured and bound by the assassins. Du Huan demanded, "What is the meaning of this?" The fat one explained, "We received a report of suspicious activity within the Hanlin Academy's archives. Powerful figures are known to frequent this location. You are all conspiring to commit treason, aren't you?" Yu Han angrily shouted, "We are only here to play Go." But that guy was still trying to frame them. How could I believe you all gathered here just for a game of Go? He gave them no chance to explain. Mu Feng turned to his subordinate and asked, "Where is that guy?" However, the answer was, "There is no one left in the academy. That bastard must have escaped earlier." He then spoke up, "Regardless, if you nobles are innocent, you will be released soon. Once the search of the academy is complete, if nothing is found, you will all be released and compensated." Just then, a subordinate announced that he had found something. It was a joint treason pact signed by the rebels. Everyone immediately shouted, "What are you talking about? I have never heard of this." The fat guy stubbornly presented the fake evidence to force a confession. This was clearly a trap they set themselves. For a bunch of Go players, these old guys are really clueless. The crowd again roared their explanations that they were not rebelling. Just at that moment, a lord stood up from the crowd and shouted, "Mu Feng, you are quite the schemer. I am the Grand Censor Lord Li." The crowd instantly grew cheerful. It is the Lord we are saved this time. Mu Feng hurriedly clasped his hands in respect. If I had known the Grand Imperial Censor himself was present. We subordinates would never have dared to be so presumptuous. The Lord ordered him to untie him, but he maintained his same attitude. "First, I must ask why you are plotting a rebellion." This made the old man break out in a cold sweat. Mu Feng smiled sinisterly. "Did you really think I did not know you were here?" Two subordinates quickly pinned the old man to the ground. A conspiracy to rebel must have a center, and the Hanlin Academy could not possibly be the headquarters, so Lord Li must be the ringleader. The old man furiously roared, "You think you can get away with this lawlessness? This lord will ensure none of you leave here alive." Mu Feng coldly replied, "You are mistaken. You will never be able to report this to the emperor because you will never see him again." He pointed at them and roared, "For the crime of treason, the sentence is immediate execution. All of you must die here. In this decrepit academy, you arrested with so many other nobles in a joint confession detailing a rebellious plot. What do you think the emperor will believe when this news reaches him? In the eyes of the world, this is undeniable proof of treason. Ha ha!" The lord roared in anger but was helpless. Mu Feng then turned to Anji. "I warned you that I would be the one to decide everything. This is the price for rejecting me. Because of you, everyone here will lose their lives." He lifted her chin with his filthy hand. Enzi contemptuously spat right in his face. She said resolutely, "I would rather die here than marry a man like you." Hearing those words, his expression twisted into something even more perverse. "Do not worry, I will not kill you. I will make your life a living hell." She threatened to take her own life, but he just said, "If you do that, then your father will take your place, And if your father does the same, someone else will have to pay the price for this treason. Your entire clan will be exterminated. None of you can escape. So why don't you do it? Ha ha, he grabbed her hair tightly with one hand and pulled hard. Duan witnessed this furious but helpless as the man with a perverted expression caressed her cheek. In despair, Anchi silently prayed for someone to help me. Just then, her expression changed as she saw a figure in the distance clumsily climbing over the wall to escape. His movements are so unprofessional. But Anchi immediately shouted, "Wei Yan Hao," startling him. He turned around, his face covered in sweat. "Ha ha, what's with the lively crowd here?" Anchi demanded, "What the hell are you doing here?" He nonchalantly replied, "Running away, of course." "You dare to openly admit you're running away? So what? What's wrong with admitting I'm running away? Did you think I was too refined to put it so bluntly? Or would you prefer I say I'm using one of the 36 stratagems? You know martial arts, so you have to help." But he waved his hand to refuse. "If I risk my life with my pathetic half-baked skills, I'll just get myself killed early. In this situation, playing dumb is the best strategy. Only those who fear death live long. Haven't you heard? So please, everyone, just carry on. Don't mind me." The three people listening were completely disheartened. He's truly useless, but Mufeng wouldn't let him go, shouting, "You stop right there. You're implicated in treason, which means execution for your entire clan. Where do you think you can run?" He replied naively, "How will I know if I don't try?" Ignoring the threat, he just waved and said, "See you around." The fat guy went berserk and ordered, "Get him." Two henchmen immediately aimed their swords and charged at him. As the situation turned critical, Anchi yelled, "Run!" This left him a bit confused. "First you tell me to save you. Now you tell me to run. What do you mean women are so confusing?" The henchman swung his sword, but in a flash he disappeared, leaving only an afterimage. Then with one effortless move he took the man down, looking incredibly cool. Meanwhile, the henchman was in a completely opposite state, stuck in a handstand. Everyone who witnessed this was shocked. "What just happened?" Mufeng spoke up. "So the little brat has some skills, eh?" He answered awkwardly, Hey, thanks for the compliment." The other guy grew more furious. "I wasn't complimenting you." He ordered, "Hey, deal with him. Don't kill him. I want to rip that brat to shreds myself." Just as Hei was about to strike, he was stopped. Whoa, hang on. I need to use a sword. Can you wait a minute?" "I think I left it in my room." Seeing the other guy's reluctance, he began to taunt, "What's wrong? You look like a grown man. Surely you're not going to get fussy with a kid who only picked up a sword 5 years ago. The martial way hasn't fallen this far, has it? I don't understand how in that amount of time people's hearts could become so harsh." He glanced at a broom, which confused his opponent. "Well, no sword. I guess Yan Hao will just have to fight with this broom then." His expression darkened. "Are you underestimating me? You're the one who wouldn't let me get my sword." His opponent took a stance, preparing to attack, not forgetting to threaten. "I will make you wish you were dead." He yelled, "Hurry up and attack. I'm getting sleepy over here." This guy's face got even more pissed off, having run into a real pest. He grabbed his weapon and lunged forward in a flash, his face full of confidence. But immediately after he got his face beaten to a pulp, he just casually used a mop to send him flying. With just one move, the guy was lying unconscious on the ground, unable to move. Everyone watching was horrified, breaking out in a cold sweat. He swung the mop lightly. Indeed, a mop is the most fitting tool for taking out the trash. Haknat had woken up by now, not even understanding what had just happened himself. He pointed the mop straight at him and asked, "Are you stupid rushing in head on? Like that, you should assess your opponent first." Hearing this made him furious, and he charged forward. But just like before, he got beaten to a pulp. "I already explained it, and you still don't listen." The guy thought to himself, how is he so fast? Then he quickly backed away and pulled something out from inside his clothes. "As much as I hate to, I have to admit it. I know it's hard to believe, but that kid is definitely not all talk. However, in a real fight, the stronger one doesn't always win." He pulled out a poison dagger, but it was immediately spotted by him. "Playing dirty are we, dude? But that's not going to work on me." In the blink of an eye, Yan Hao closed the distance, making him panic. What kind of speed is this? With a swish, the poison dagger was knocked from his hand. Then he got whacked on the head a gazillion times. The guy just passed out and collapsed to the ground, terrifying all the onlookers. "I can't believe the holy saint is that strong." The fat guy's face turned pale. "No way." How could he deal with Hacknut so easily? That's the leader of the dark group, whom my adoptive father spent 15 long years pouring his heart and soul into training. Yan Hao suggested if you're willing to back down here, then it'll be much easier for both of us. To my surprise, he actually clapped his hands in praise. To possess such martial arts skills at your age, you're quite something. His face lit up. You're damn right I am. This angered Unji. What are you so happy about? He replied innocently. He's praising me. Mokpung, thinking he was a simpleton, spoke up. Just having the chance to meet a martial artist of your caliber is worth overlooking all of this. He wanted to recruit him. Come to my side. I will give you things beyond your wildest imagination. I will give you the power to hold the world in the palm of your hand and a massive fortune. His face turned stern, as if I would be swayed by words like that. Hearing this, Yunji was immensely pleased. Just as she was about to swoon for him, Yan Hao did a complete 180, a greedy look on his face. Could you perhaps give me a specific number? Unji, furious with veins popping on her forehead, screamed, Yan Hao, you're asking for it. The prince also yelled. What are you saying? Are power and money that important to you? He received an answer in unison from the other two. Of course they're important. With money, you can even buy immortality, old man. That dopey-faced prince might be important, I guess, but how much power and wealth can he really give you? Whatever the prince bestows upon you will be enough. The line caught his attention, so the fat guy sneered. What do you think he can give you? Even if he is the emperor's brother, he has already given up all his glory. At best, he could only get you a spot in the censorate, but my godfather is different. He can grant you immense wealth and power, the kind that would make anyone jealous. But he turned to the prince and mocked, looks like you are not that rich, huh? The words struck a nerve. It was true. Du Huan spoke up to clarify helping a villain plot treason and exposing a real rebellion. How can those two things be the same? Your master, did he not teach you about righteousness? He broke into a cold sweat, thinking to himself, the way he keeps mentioning his master, he must treat his words as gospel. And what kind of master would teach his disciple the wrong things? Surely he taught him things that would benefit us. He quickly replied, my master taught me that with money, you can even buy a fairy to embrace. Just pick whoever has more money. The answer left the two old men stunned. Master said that things like principles or reputation are just illusions. They cannot feed you. Cold hard cash is what matters most. Master also told me not to live righteously. The real truth is to grab as much as you can when you get the chance. Du Huan was too exasperated to speak. What kind of whacked-out master is that? Seeing his chance, Mok Fong pressed the offer to join his side. Do you want to serve my godfather? Hearing the two words to serve, his expression changed. Do I still have to do something like that? And she quickly shouted, I will not make you do any work. I will provide you with fine delicacies and let you rest in a first-class room all day. The fat guy's side also made an offer. If you do not want to, you do not have to do a thing. Of course, I will still grant you the promised reward. Dian Hao immediately moved close to him and praised. Young master truly has the bearing of a great hero. The other guy clicked his tongue. Ha ha. How could I compare to the young hero? The other three thought to themselves. Are you putting on a farce right now? The fat guy then presented the mission. First, kill everyone here. They are criminals plotting treason. Extermination of their 9 clans is the sentence they deserve. But An Chi heard this and was furious. He naively asked, then why are you guys rebelling? We even have all the evidence right here. He scratched his head and looked at the fat guy. Well, I have never killed anyone before. The guy immediately held out his hand, then let me have the sword while spouting his nonsense about justice. I did not want to get my hands bloody, but the law is the law and must be upheld. He raised the sword high, aiming straight for Du Huan. And she cried out in worry, father. While the man silently apologized to his daughter for getting her involved, his sword was suddenly stopped by his 2 hands. All right, let's stop here. The fat guy thought to himself, this guy is too strong. He yelled, did we not just make a deal? He yelled back, I like to be idle, but if they die, I will feel really bad about it. Besides, my master once said, a debt of gratitude must be repaid before it accrues interest, 12 times over. 10 times over, it is time for me to repay this debt of gratitude. As soon as he said it, the other 3 were overjoyed in their hearts. I knew I was not mistaken about him. Mok Fong laughed loudly, inexplicably. You think I'm afraid of you? He unleashed his powerful energy and roared, "Anyone I want to kill will absolutely not live. Consider it your honor to die by my hand." His palm strike sent countless giant hands rushing towards him. The pressure made every witness tremble in fear. Before their eyes, he seemed to appear and disappear, dodging and parrying his attack as fast as lightning, as smoothly as a superstar. Mafeng was terrified by this sight. How could this be? Then he was kicked rolling over 10 times. Everyone present was stunned, unable to believe their eyes. Is he dead? Mufeng supported himself on his hands, kneeling on the ground as if severely injured. When he threatened to punch him again, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat, yelling, "Let's just pretend this never happened." Okay. The whole crowd was speechless, but that's my line. The prince ordered him captured, but he started rambling that if he didn't return, his adoptive father would initiate Plan B. The royal family would face bloodshed, and the power of the 6 skills had already grown immense. I wonder how far he can ultimately go. In the end, he still decided to let Mufeng go. How surreal. If it were Gao, this guy would have been knocked out a long time ago. Before he left, he advised him that although young Master Wu's kung fu was truly powerful, when forced to use the bone shrinking technique and attack simultaneously, the power of his malicious arts would be greatly diminished. If you really want to deal with me, you would be better off undoing that fat transformation. This startled him. How did this guy figure it out? He quickly walked away. Just you wait. We will meet again. Everything was finally over. And just like that, he got to sleep in all day without any worries or disturbances. But then she came shouting for him to wake up. Father wants to see you. The truth was then revealed through the story of the 3 of them. It turned out the prince was also a master. He was only pretending in order to test him. But he was also hesitant to act because the 6 eunuchs would discover his martial arts skills and use it as more evidence of him forming factions to frame him. But he had known from the moment they met. He only helped them because of Anji, the naive girl who asked for his help, completely unaware that even her father was a top-tier master. However, he preferred to live in seclusion like a scholar to avoid conflict. Yun Hao promised not to reveal this, even though he had already figured it out. He also gave him a piece of advice to see the world for what it is and feel it with his heart. It was as if he had an epiphany. The power to ascend to a new level. For now, I will just get a good night's sleep. I have to leave this place tomorrow morning. And that's all for part 1 of the story. Everyone watching, please don't forget to leave a like for Gao.